Hello, my family. Okay, y'all. So, just so you know, today is Coffee Time Wednesday, and this will be my testimony. I'll explain everything as soon as we come back. Welcome back, my family. Okay, so first of all, before I speak about anything, number one, the only reason I'm making this video is because I was asked, would I tell my testimony? Number two, I'm not looking for any sympathies. Please do not do not think that I am looking for somebody to pat my back or anything like that. This is my journey. Although it was never an easy journey, it was the hardest thing I ever went through. I do not want anybody to feel sorry for me. I've had a lot of growing since then, and I want to continue to grow. So in order to get through that, I have to continue to just keep doing what I'm doing, y'all, and don't allow the devil to take control of anything. So yes, this testimony from the beginning, I will tell you, speaks a lot about God. It was how I met him one-on-one, and it was how my life was completely changed. I will not ever deny that. So just so you know these things up front before my testimony begins. So, those are just a few, not warnings, but I guess sayings to let you know before we even get started. So I do have my coffee because I'm going to need it. This isn't one of the easiest things in a video that I love to actually talk about. It is one of the hardest things in my life. However, how do I not know? It might help somebody else out. So I don't normally do these because we are a Mediterranean lifestyle. However, part of what I went through in my journey is what brought me here. Ironically, partly what brought me through my journey also helped me grow further into being a homesteader, and where I learned to find authentic foods and do the things I'm doing in my kitchen I ain't never done before. So it all started in 2020, 4 years ago. Actually, October 1st, 2020 was the day my life was completely changed upside down. It was changed to what I consider today, 4 years later, to be the greatest thing that it could ever happen to me. Let me get situated and I will begin that story. I will try not to make this last forever. I will try to get to key points throughout this thing, but it will also help you understand where I came from and how I got where I'm at. But I will also say this is kind of lengthy, y'all, and this will probably be my last testimony about this. I will put in there this time for those who want to look back in the past of, like, I've already done this once before, but it gets lost over all the videos. So I will label this one my testimony. It'll make it easier for all of you. Okay, y'all, so I'm situated now. So as you can see, long story short, God saved my life. It was the perfect shirt to wear on this particular video. This, y'all, is my testimony. On October 1st of 2020, we have an area out here on our property where we had permission to go hunting. Now the only type of hunting we can do for deer was bow, and it was bow season. As a matter of fact, it's the opening day of bow season here in Mississippi. So we were out there. We didn't actually decide to actually hunt just yet. We had some deer cams out there, so we wanted to see basically what the progress was like out there. We get out there, and I already knew that right behind us we had neighbors. That was, at the time, it was a rental house. It's now been bought since then by another family. But there was a bunch of kids. Mama was, I have no idea, but it was a bunch of teenagers home alone. We don't mess with other people's business. So we went out there to go check on the cameras to see how things were going. We get to the point where my husband was checking the cameras and I was checking the fields, and all of a sudden we heard 3 shots. 1, 2, 3, pow, pow, pow. And I knew where it came from. My husband knew where it came from, but we didn't think, seriously, we didn't think anything of it. One of those bullets ended up going right through my stomach. It entered here, went completely through my stomach, and exited out the side. It ended up getting my wrist because I hunkered like this, grabbing both ends of where that bullet had entered. I literally felt it, and I felt that burn running through my stomach like hell just ripped my insides wide open. And I stood there for a moment, and I looked at my husband. Amazingly, y'all, I didn't cry or anything at this point. I was in complete shock because all I could think of is, there is no way a bullet just ran through my body. There's no way. And sure enough, I looked at my husband and I told him, I said, I've been shot. And he said, no, you haven't. I said, I've been shot. And I opened up my arms like this, and both sides just started gushing. He grabbed a hold of me. He walked me out of the woods, got me to the house, called 911. In the meantime, those kids took off. I saw them. They saw me. But we can't prove anything. In the testimony, I'll just get to all that. But anyways, long story short, I got sent in a helicopter to Tupelo, Mississippi, and my husband didn't get to go with me. He got questioned at the police station the whole time, and I had to do this journey by myself because they were interrogating my husband and shooting me. Do you believe that? The man who carried me out, we both had no weapons of any kind on us at all, and they interrogated my husband, checking him over to see if he shot me. In the meantime, I arrived at the hospital in the emergency room. The surgeon, he looked at an ultrasound, and he immediately, he flipped, and he looked at everybody. He said, get her into OR immediately. Now, y'all, I don't know about you, but there's things that we call gut feelings. And honestly, I knew it when I was coming out of the woods. I actually told God, I said, if it be your will, save me, Lord. I forgot I said that. So we get to the OR, and I just knew, I saw the look in that surgeon's face. I just knew it was my time. So one thing I could do was I started talking to God. I had a nurse who was holding my hand, and from the emergency room to the OR room, all I could think of, y'all, to say was, yea, though I walk through the shadow of the valley of death, I fear no evil. I just started reciting what just was in my memory of God and saying, Lord, if today is the day, receive me now, because I know I'm coming home. And then I also told him to take care of my husband. And at this point, that nurse let go of my hand. She was bawling. And she said, I can't. So we get there, and I have been put to sleep before, but never holy smokes, never like this. It was that moment when I realized how big God really, really is. Y'all, we can only imagine, but our imagination still can't, because there was such a pressure. I swear I was being crushed, like seriously crushed. And next thing you know, I was out. What I didn't count on is I woke up and I looked around, and all I could think of is, why am I still here? I really asked God, did you just reject me? I didn't see it as a blessing yet, y'all. Just so you know that. I thought God seriously rejected me. I became angry, depressed, and I could not understand what I did so wrong that he would deny me, which is one of my greatest fears. One of my greatest fears is the fact that God looks at me and says, you have iniquity, for I never knew you. And that's exactly what I thought he did. But that wasn't it at all. He actually spared my life. Whatever he did from the OR to from the emergency room to the operating room, he changed everything. The surgeon came to talk to me the next day. He was white as a ghost. He could not stay in that room. And he said, I don't have no answers for you. He said, I know what I saw, but I have no answers. He said, all I could say is, young lady, you are a miracle laying in that bed, and I'm fixing to release you. I will see you in 6 weeks. And he left, y'all. He literally left. He could not even say any more to me. He just walked out that door. And I thought that was really strange and kind of rude. But it's still yet, I was going through all of this because it wasn't connecting yet what had just happened. Well, one day, long story short, 6 weeks is up. The doctor still did the same thing. He removed the sutures where they closed up both the holes where the bullet had entered and exit, because it was quite big. It was a 9mm bullet, and it did some damage. It made huge scar tissues throughout my stomach, tore up a lot of muscles, and a lot of scar tissue. If there was one thing I could say about being a big girl then, is I'm really grateful for it, because if I was as small as I am now, that bullet would have killed me. The surgeon did say that bullet just barely grazed my kidney and just skimmed past the main artery through my stomach. Only God. How else can you describe that? Only God. And I knew at that moment, I'm not a miracle. I was given a miracle. And it's not for my purpose, but for God's purpose. And it isn't for my purpose, but for your purpose. And that comes in later as well. As far as the young man, he literally got away with all this, y'all. We got dumped with $28,000 medical bills for his playtime with a gun. Nobody got to pay my medical bills but us. And he got a slap on the wrist and sent as a misdemeanor accidental charge. This young man was 104 yards from me, hence the reason I was able to see him. Plus, he decided to skip out. They had to go search for him until they finally found him. He knew exactly what he did. But you know, at this point, there's nothing I can do about it. I never seen the courtroom. I never seen my judge. I never seen my attorney. I did give everybody all the information they wanted from me, from my medical records to my statements. They came out, they did their investigations, they did everything, and I was highly cooperative. But justice was not served. I struggled for a couple of years. And then I had another blessing come my way. One I never thought would ever be able to help me, and that was my brother. My brother at this time was my rock. And I'm wholeheartedly mean that. He was absolutely my rock. And it was him who helped me heal in one particular way. And I will never forget this, because in some ways I still hold this in my mind. Y'all who have been on my line, or on my live feed, had saw my brother mentioning about me being a warrior. He's not lying, y'all. We, in our generation and in our heritage, we are Norwegian. Norwegians can be very strong warriors, and at this time I am a warrior, because I will tell you, for the first year I was afraid of everything. They put me on trazodone. I got major PTSD from all of this. I couldn't leave my house. I was afraid of every pop sound I ever heard. I could not stand the 4th of July. I was afraid of everything. When lightning struck, I hit the ground. And it got to be too much. It was about my second year that my brother had helped me with something that was really powerful, because I know what I did. I left me out in those woods. I left my strength. I left my growing. I left everything good out in those woods. I left it with Satan, because he took it. I allowed him to take all this from me. See, I'm alive, and I couldn't understand that. I kept saying this over and over and over. I was jealous of the angels. And to the point that I just didn't want to live. Honestly, I was going home. I was so excited to go home, and my God said, not yet. And I didn't understand why. I even had a nurse on this channel, y'all. I had a nurse saying, there is no way. She has been in the ER many times and never seen anybody with wounds like me ever survive. I knew that. I wasn't supposed to be here, but God's not done with me yet. Long story short, God saved my life. As time went on, there was a situation that my brother had given me, and I asked God to never forget this. I asked God to never let me forget me going through what I went through with this journey, or ever allow me to forget I've been shot, because it showed me that day who God really, really is. Now this one gets even more powerful, and I mean powerful, because it's something that has what made me with you all today. It's given me my strength, my pressing forward. My brother don't know the gift he gave me that day. And it was the day I walked back into those woods, told Satan where to go, and I took back everything he took. That was the most awesome day of my life at that point. I got to the edge of that wood line before I walked back there. And my brother told me to remember one thing and close my eyes. And I did just what he said. To remember who I am. I am a Norwegian warrior. But that also I am a child of God. The Archangel Gabriel is a mighty warrior. And that we hold our wings. And I am strong. So I stood there and I closed my eyes, y'all. And all of a sudden I felt this heavy weight on the back of my shoulders. Now this sounds strange, but it's what helped me heal. And at that point, it was in springtime at this point. And it was a breezy day. But I was still wearing a jacket. It was that cool when I walked back there. And I remember I closed my eyes and I felt this force of a greater feeling I never felt before. It was wings that opened up so strong and so big. a wind force came at me, and I remember feeling that breeze with my eyes closed, and it was almost as if those wings were just flapping. At that very moment, I found strength in a way I have never felt in my life, and I was able to take one foot at a time. Before I knew it, I was in those woods, standing at the same spot where I got shot. At that time, I asked God to please hold my hand because I was really afraid. I realized I had just walked back here by myself, and I was standing right there where all this had happened, where everything in my life was just taken from me. And I was still here. I had gotten into a point with God that I was able to talk with Him again, finally. And so I had asked Him to hold my hand while I told Satan where to go. And I basically told him to go back to hell where he came from, because he could not have my pride. He could not have my strength. He could not have everything that God gave me. He could, however, take back the fear that He gave me because it wasn't mine. He could take back the weakness that He gave me because it wasn't mine. And I wanted everything that He took that belonged to God, that God gave me. And on that day, I did. And I walked back with more strength in myself, more pride in myself. And I was very, very happy to the fact is I knew God was with me. I knew God saved my life. And I also knew that God was going to be a very important person in my life from there on through. I don't speak of God lightly, y'all. He gave me something most people do not ever get to experience. I literally have a chance to relive life and change all the wrongs that I had ever done. I get a second chance to make a difference. And hence the reason why I'm here with you. God has given me the wisdom and the knowledge and the journey, because it was a journey that got me here with you. I would have never thought in my life that He spared me to have a YouTube channel. But what He didn't show me is while in this process my husband became a diabetic, I was led into the Mediterranean lifestyle. It helped me with my physical. Our doctor's reports started changing immensely. And so He had a purpose for me, and I just couldn't see it. I see it today, 4 years later. Yesterday's gift to you was a blessing for me, because I had vowed to celebrate October 1st from there on through every year until the day I take my last breath. Because it was the day I met God face to face. It was the day I had a healing with my brother, who means the world to me. It was the day that I learned how to finally live happy. And though these tears are here, y'all, it's not tears of sadness. I'm actually excited. I'm emotional, because until you meet God face to face like this, you will never know who He really is. I tread lightly. I don't get on here pretending to be somebody I'm not, because I fear my God. The same God who saved my life when I wasn't supposed to be here. Every aspect of my life said I should not be here today. On October 1st, 2020, I should have died. I should have had a funeral. But God said no. Long story short, God saved my life. So I make a difference today. My husband went to the doctor's office, y'all, today. His A1C, and he's been out of Farxiga, by the way, and his A1C is 5.8. He is listed, hallelujah, non-diabetic. However, he is a diabetic. but it's under control. His blood work, y'all, every area from his LDL, HDL, you name it, is all in the green zone. That man is as healthy as a horse. And I have God to thank for teaching me how to do this. Now, I don't get to see my doctor until after Christmas, and I do have to lose a little fluff and stuff, y'all. But one thing I will tell you, it is frustrating to me because though I have lost this weight, there's one area, a problem area I have, and there's nothing I can do to ever fix that. At the same time, though, it is my reminder what God did. I have a scar of a bullet hole here, and I have a scar of a bullet hole here that is healed over. In the wintertime, I hurt. The inside scar tissue runs pain right through my stomach. And it's probably going to be that way to the rest of my life. And then I have what's called these little love handles, because I have no tone left in my stomach to get rid of this. So it's always going to be with me. I'm always going to carry this little bit of flat that I have because I can't tone it up like most people can. No exercise, no amount of curls or nothing like that's going to help me. But I'm okay with it because I've come into terms that God saved my life for His purpose, and it doesn't matter what this vessel looks like. This vessel is battered. It's gone through cancer on my thyroid, and I'm still alive. Yeah, y'all. I'm also a cancer survivor, believe it or not, of over 20 years. I have scars on my neck from that one, and I've lived to tell about it. I've been shot, and I'm living to tell about it. God has a purpose and a plan for me, Jeremiah 29:11. Although I can tell you, just as a little joke, I don't really joke that much about this, but in the sense of it, if a cat has 9 lives, I have 7 left. It's really weird. But it's the only way I could be able at the time to say, this is me. And you know what? I'm happy I am alive, but it took me a while to get there because I was so angry. Why? Why doing everything that I did? Why did God reject me? But you know, there's something, my mom's no longer here. But back when I had my cancer, I said again, why, Lord, why? And my mom said something. And she said something that day when I asked God, why did you save my life? And all I could hear my mom say was, why not? Why not you? Who do I think I am that I am so special? Y'all, I'm nothing but a sinner just like the rest of the world. I'm just saved by God, by His mercy and His grace, and I can literally say I've been saved. There's only one thing that bothers me through all of this. As far as fear is concerned, I can't honestly say I fear much anymore. You know, we see movies. My brother and I were talking about that. We could see movies and we can only imagine what it was like, but I can literally tell you what it feels like to be hit by a bullet. Straight up, I could tell you what it's like. And it's something I never want to go through again. Like I said, hell ripped through my body that day, and it's such a pain that you will never, I can't even describe the pain from that. But it baffles me. I faced fear. Face to face. I looked at fear. I looked at death. Y'all, I looked at death face to face. I was going home. And one day, can you imagine being in my shoes knowing that one day I'm going to have to do this all over again? I'm going to have to face death again because I got to live a second time. Nobody could say that. I have a story to tell. And it's not for me. It's for you. It's for everybody else. I am here to leave a milestone, and my milestone is God put me on the road to healing. Imagine that. My brother, God needed to use my brother to make me strong again, or I couldn't be here where I am with you. Now, y'all, I have been on YouTube for just about 2, if not 2 years now. And you know what? 2 years within the 4, God needed me to be strong so I could be here. And what am I doing? I'm on here teaching the Mediterranean lifestyle, milling my own grains. But where am I? I'm in the book, the Old Testament of the Bible. I'm living the life that God had meant us to be in the first place. And so I'm teaching this to you. Eating healthier, surviving hard times, which we are in again. And I will say, we went, after we got away from the doctor's office, we went to Walmart. Y'all, just so you know, tuna fish is being bought off the market. Canned chicken is being bought off the shelves. Pasta is being bought off the shelves. Toilet paper. It's crazy. Y'all, it is absolutely crazy. It's already starting again since the ports went on strike. Fear came in, and I don't fear, y'all. Look, some people say, oh, well, you just don't understand. I do understand. I do take care of things, though, and I go by my gut instincts. The one thing you will find when I come on here with you, I will tell you, stock a little. Take a little extra if you can, because look, we're all in hard times right now. Our economy is in a hay basket. People can barely afford groceries anymore, and it's fixing to rise again. This is crazy. But then to turn around and people create even more problems. We have transportation with our truckers disrupted because of hurricanes and roads being destroyed in various areas of the South. Okay, so that makes our southern lanes really bad to get through. So down here, supply and demand is going to be rough as it is. Now we got the Northeast where all the ports have just went on strike. So things coming in from overseas into here in the United States, which has basically been our lives anymore, is going to have a hard time as well. So that leaves us where? Doing what we should have been doing all along. Now, I will not ever fear anybody. I'm not the type of person to promote fear-mongering. But I will say, if you get a chance to get a little bit extra here and there, at least do so, y'all. Slowly, calmly, just put a little extra on your shelves, at least for a couple months, because it's going to get crazy. So if you can find a place that's on sale, like Aldi's or whatever, you don't have to stockpile everything. Just get yourself something a little extra to keep you going for at least a little while. And that's the reason why I did with the vegetables. Those are going to help me for a little bit for my broths. I did get some chicken so that I can make the broth for chicken broth next, and then we have some beef in the freezer that I can turn around and make beef broth the same way we did the vegetables, and I will show you how to do that. I enjoy what I do with y'all. That is my purpose. God led me to first take care of me. I had to take care of me first. He needed my brother because he knew I would listen to my brother. So he used my brother to help me become stronger. And it means so much to me every time I hear my brother tell me how proud he is of me, because you all don't know this. Now, my brother may watch this, but he will know what I mean. That man was never proud of me, and at one time in my life, he was pretty much disgusted by me. That he had every right to be. I was a nasty alcoholic. I was a nasty person. God changed my life. And he caused a connection when he put the two of us together to help heal me. Because God needed me for you. God needed me for my husband. And he needed me for himself. So there's a really big blessing that happened between the two of us. And there's a connection now that I can't thank God enough for. I truly love my brother. And I see a lot of my mom in him too. And I do miss her dearly. And I almost got to go home to her. But he's not ready for me for that yet. Y'all still need me a little while longer. So he's going to stick around. He's going to have me stick around for you. So basically, y'all, that's my testimony. I do, and I will never deny God for what He did for me. And I don't mean to offend anybody, but if you ever sit in my shoes, you would absolutely know. If you could see what I saw, if you could feel what I feel or felt and still feel today, if you could have been in my shoes, you would have seen God the way I saw Him. There's no way I can deny who He is, because I should be not even sitting here. This makes no sense to me today. I could look at myself while I'm doing these videos for you and still can't understand how am I still here. It blows my mind. And then the fact is, again, I'm going to have to do that one day again. Who dies twice? Seriously. There's no answers to this. But I do love you. We have 9,300 subscribers. And I am blessed with each and every one of you. I hope, and that's the only thing I can do with this channel, is hope that I am helpful to you. I'm hopeful that I have ideas that bring joy to your family. I am hopeful that I have information that help change your medical records like it's changed ours. And I hope that you can find peace and comfort into the testimonies and the times that I speak for the God who saved my life. And I hope that you understand you have a friend through me. Because I can relate to so many things that many go through. But I wanted to tell you one thing through it all. If I can forgive the young man who shot me, and I'm going to tell you that was not easy. That was the hardest thing I ever did, because there was no justice. And if I could forgive him and pray for him, there ain't nothing that I can't do. If I can do this, so can you. If you are holding on to something that is tearing you apart, making you angry, making you sad and depressed, let it go and let God, because it's the greatest freedom you will ever find. I did not forgive him for what he did for the sake of what he did. I did it to free me from all that kept me from God. I was not going to allow that to take me away from the man, from the God who saved my life. He wasn't worth it. I in turn prayed and asked God to put his mighty hands upon him. And I pray that that young man knows who God is. Because God gave him a miracle too. He doesn't have a murder rap and he's not in prison for killing me. Can you imagine? That was powerful. There is nothing you can go through that God doesn't understand. And there's nothing that you're going through that God won't be there for. He's always going to be there for you. And I promise you that. I'm living proof. God is a mighty God, y'all, so don't cast him off. Again, you won't hear me talk too much about this, but in the sense of it, I'm not going to deny him either. I am a Christian Mediterranean homestead, and I am proud of who I am today. I have lost a lot of weight. I have changed the way I feel about our life. I've changed the way how we eat. I might not be a Barbie doll, and I'm not perfect. But in God's eyes, I am adorable. I am amazing. I am beautiful, and I am His. And He holds me in the palm of His hand. And they ain't nothing. Nothing. You know, if you've got a medical record that tells you that you have this disease, y'all, this is powerful. If you got something a doctor says that you have, and this is your destiny, if there is something in your life that is holding you back with PTSD or fear or depression, y'all, I'm here to tell you, if a bullet couldn't stop my God, then anything that you have isn't going to stop the God that I know of either. There's nothing greater than God Himself, and He can wipe all of that away. And I'm here to tell you, look at me, y'all. Look. There's nothing God can't do for you too. I'm sorry, but I will say this, and I'm about to end this testimony. There is nothing that I wouldn't do for the God who saved my life. And in order to do that, I'm going to keep pressing forward. I want to be the willing vessel that He has me to be. And right now He has me, which makes no sense to me, y'all. But He has me here on YouTube with you. And I'm going to keep doing what He would have me to do. I'm going to keep being the person who speak for Him to show what He can do through healing and the things that He's teaching me, leading me, and guiding me. I have had opportunities to speak to people at a farmer's market. I've had opportunities to teach and show you, and so many different areas, so much that my doctors even want to use me to help be able to spread what the Mediterranean lifestyle is actually like, which is kind of cool. I have no idea what God has for me. And if there was one thing on YouTube that I would want, what would be my goal here? Well, my goal is to reach as many people as I possibly can to just teach you more and more about the Mediterranean diet. And this would be for you. But if there was one thing for me, there is one goal. See, I've never set a goal in my life, y'all. I gave up living. Honestly, back when I had cancer 20-something years ago, I literally gave up living. I just lived to live. I'm living now so late in my life than I've ever lived most of my life, which is stupid. But anyways, I never set a goal for myself. I always just went with the flow. I did everything for everybody else. I took care of everybody else. I never thought about myself. I had one dream, and that dream was to be a chef. I wanted to be a paper chef. And then I met an executive chef who was a friend of mine who is no longer here. But his last words to me were, I don't need a paper to be a chef. I was told to keep doing what I was doing because I was doing an amazing job. Now, there are chefs out there that are going to tell me, you are nothing but a home cook, and you're right, I am. But I'm an elevated home cook, and there is a thing of being self-taught, and I worked hard to be where I'm at. I could not, just like you, I worked hard to be where I'm at. I just don't own a degree. And those who with a paper do. And I'm proud for this. But I set one more goal, because after that, my dreams died. I quit dreaming, and my husband said that was the worst thing I could ever do, is stop dreaming. So I got one more, y'all. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but it has to do with you and YouTube. Can you imagine if I could reach 100,000 subscribers? That would get me the silver plaque from YouTube. Now, I know it seems far-fetched. It is a dream. But what is my reason for it? If I could look at that plaque on my wall, I would know that God built me up enough to finally do something for myself instead of everybody else. And I would be super proud of me. Regardless, though, I am proud at this very moment. I am proud of the family that I have. You all are amazing. I have met some of the closest friends I could ever think of. I have met some of the most wonderful people I could ever dream of. And on my lives, we get stupid people coming in. I cash them off because we are strong enough to surpass all what we call the trolls or whatever else. Y'all, I have a strong, amazing family. And I can dream to grow even bigger, to reach more. Y'all, this isn't about income for me, because if you have not heard my testimony throughout all of this, money didn't save my life. Long story short, God did. So it isn't about money. It's about reaching out to as many people as I can, because this world, when my doctor, y'all, my doctor is booked. I cannot get a squeeze in an appointment till the day after Christmas. Now, many have told me, oh, well, that's because she's a popular doctor. Y'all, what's the big picture of this? Why is my doctor so popular? There shouldn't be that many sick. I'm just saying. If God can use me to reach as many people as possible, then I thank God for saving my life and using me as a vessel to be able to do that. Because if they can feel half of what I feel right now, and I feel alive for the first time in my ever-loving life, then I have done something right. My life was spared, and it was a good thing to do that. And I thank God for being that willing vessel to be able to continue to keep bringing more to you. So with that, y'all, I do get emotional. Please forgive me, but it is very powerful what I've been through, and it means so much to me. I am living. It took me 58 years. 4 years ago, at 54 years old, it was when my life changed for the good. Through a tragedy, it changed for the good. And it's the first time I learned to live. I'm not dead. God's not done with me yet. Long story short, God saved my life, and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing here on this channel every single day, except for the weekend, y'all. I got to have some time off. So what I am actually going to do today now is I have all of this organic ginger. I'm fixing to go outside with the soil that we purchased. I am going to plant all this beautiful ginger, and we're going to grow some fresh ginger because this is fantastic for anti-inflammatories. This is great for when you're sick. It tastes amazing in tea. Korean food. Oh, y'all, this is so good. Ginger is amazing. So we're going to grow our own for the first time. So I'm going to learn how to grow some organic ginger. I have some canned, I've got some big old 10-pound of hamburger meat that I got to get fried up because I've got cans of chili to get done and put on my shelf. With everything going crazy right now, I'm going to be at home taking all my dried beans and canning up my beans because I came prepared. I'm going to be canning up my chili because I came prepared. See, I'm not a doomsday prepper, y'all. I do prep. I prep a year at a time. And see, with that year at a time, it has helped me when bread, grains, don't cross the border now, I'm set. Y'all, I have every grain I could think of, and I can make my pastas and my breads or my bread sources of the Mediterranean way, and I'm okay because I heed the warning of God. I actually did not hoard from everybody else, and I did it slowly. I only did so much because I trust God to take, just like the woman, and I'm going to use this as an example, y'all. All of these people who are moving in fear, this is not of God. God is not of fear. Fear is a reaction of the devil's creating, and when he does, he causes chaos. I am the woman that was asked to make a loaf of bread, and I think it was, I can't remember, it was it might have been Paul, but it was a disciple that God told to go to the woman and ask her to bake them something to eat, which was bread. But she only had just a smidgen of oil and a little bit of flour. And she told him, this is all I have. And he told her what God had gave him the message for, is tell her, do it anyways. She will have enough. She obeyed, and she made him some bread. Y'all, she kept that little bit of oil and a little bit of flour. She never ran out. God provides your needs. I trust God. I will follow as he says to do the leading. Where I got my grains, I did my vegetables, and I'm doing my canning, my dry goods. But I'm not going to overdo. I'm not going to take from somebody else, because I trust God to take my little, even if it is just a year's worth or less. I'm going to trust God who saved my life to see me through. Because if the birds don't worry about what they eat, why should I? Y'all, I will say, if you can get a little bit, basics right now, just basics, rice, beans, some potatoes. These are things that will go a long way. If you are not a fresh miller like me, make sure you get some flour, some oil, some butter, yeast. You have water. And if you don't, make sure you get some bottled water. Just get the essentials right now, y'all. And if you can afford to get a little extra, I would look into poultry. Poultry is probably going to rise up in prices, because poultry, for some reason, was on that list, which is scary. Why is our poultry coming from overseas and not from the United States? I don't get it. Tuna in a can. And I'm thinking chicken in a can. So any of these products, if you can get a little bit extra, y'all go ahead and do so. I will not fear you though, because remember, trust God. He provides our every needs. Have faith in him. Believe in him. Trust in him. He's got you. He's got me. He's got all of us. Where we will lose track of him is when we start to fear. Don't fear. Fear not, because he is always with us. Until next time, y'all. I love you more than life itself, and I don't know if you will ever comprehend that. But I am here for you. I have a plan and a purpose because God made me that way. I have a goal, and I'm going to continue to stay on that goal, even if I end up with a little fluff and stuff, because I'm starting to taste food for the first time in my life. Because not only did I go through this 4 years ago, but also within this 4 years, y'all, I quit smoking. March will be 2 years I quit smoking. The one thing I never thought I would be able to do, I did. It was over 30 years. And so I'm tasting food at a whole new level. I'm learning the Mediterranean, which is flavorsome beyond control. So it's actually causing me to get a little bit of fluffier than what I used to, although I am conscious about it, so I'm going to work on this. However, I'm actually kind of excited because I'm learning things I've never done before. Like I said, I'm living life. But I'm living it abundantly, happily, and with purpose. So, thank you, Lord. I appreciate you. I thank my brother, and I thank each and every one of you who has helped my dreams come true. You have helped me to grow. You are an amazing family, and I just can only hope we can grow even bigger. So until next time, much love from Parton's Heritage Homestead.